You're listening to Ask the Expert on Sprott Money News.
Well, hello once again from Sprott Money News and SprottMoney.com, and welcome to the latest edition of our Ask the Expert series. I'm your host, Craig Hemke, and joining us this time is Josh Phair. Josh is the CEO of the Scottsdale Mint, and you may have noticed that our last several editions of Ask the Expert have focused on some of the mints around the world. We spoke with the Royal Mint in London. We then spoke with the Royal Canadian Mint, and most recently with the Perth Mint in Australia. And this is our first chance to talk to a private mint with the Scottsdale Mint. So, Josh, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
It is a pleasure, my friend. And before we get started, just tell everybody a little bit about the Scottsdale Mint and what you do.
Sure. Like you mentioned, we are a private mint. We are a bit different than some of the other names you mentioned, but we're based here in Arizona in the United States. But we actually do contract manufacturing with I believe it's just over 20 different countries right now. So we produce legal tender gold and silver coins and distribute them to dealers around the world. We also produce quite a bit of just silver bullion bars. We're pretty well known for the stacker bar line, and we produce those mainly with our own Scottsdale Mint lion logo that most of you are probably somewhat familiar with. And but we also produce for private banks as well. So some of the biggest banks out there, some of them are doing it now. Some you'll probably see later with our actual that stacker bar design. So we produce basically anything with gold or silver in it. We can make it happen.
And of course, a lot of these Scottsdale Mint products are available at Sprott Money. All kinds of great offerings there. If you're looking for bullion or coins or collectibles, again, you can just go to SprottMoney.com or call us at 888-861-0775. Josh, I've got a list of 8 questions for you. If you're ready, can I just dive in and hit you with the first one?
Let's do it.
I would imagine, my friend, you're always coming up with new products that you can send to dealers and have people collect and purchase. Specifically here in 2019, what are some of the new products that you've got launching?
Yeah, so we actually we just launched the Republic of Cameroon Cheetah, which is a pretty kind of a contemporary design. It's based off of the flag of the country, and it's been, I think those just probably started hitting dealers maybe 3 weeks ago. So that's a product that you'll start to see out there, and it is a silver product. And probably one of the bigger things that we launched in 2018 was an 8-nation currency union. So most people are familiar with the European Union. Well, the second largest union in the world. It's a big step off from the European Union, but the second biggest is actually the Eastern Caribbean, and there's eight countries in there. And last year we launched a 4-coin program for each country, in both silver and a silver proof and a gold commemorative as well. And that was really, really successful for us, and I think for our dealers. Probably about 50% of it is sold in Europe, and the rest is here in North America and some in Asia. But that's been an exciting program. And this year, the 2019 program will be shortly announced. So you guys, depending on when this gets published, will probably be some of the first people to hear about it, that there will be a 2019 for all 8 countries. And again, it just allows, buyers of silver something different. They are fairly low mintage. I think 25,000 is where we're at on the silver pieces. And they've been pretty popular, and you'll see they're slightly refreshed images for each of these countries. So you'll feel like you'll need to get it on a cruise ship and actually visit each of these sites. So, but if you can't save up to do that, definitely buy some of these coins.
I feel for you having to go down and do some of the due diligence on that, Josh. I'm sure that had to be a drag.
Yeah. Don't mention that to my wife on some of these trips. But often I don't get to actually put my feet in the water. But it's not bad working with some of those groups.
No doubt about it. All right, that leads us to question number 2. I'm sure those are extremely popular. I've got to get on and check that out myself. And you mentioned that Cameroon coin. What are some of the more popular coins that the Scottsdale Mint creates?
Yeah, so that's a good segue. Really probably one of our biggest sellers in terms of ounces is definitely that the Scottsdale Stacker lineup, and those come in 10-ounce, kilo, and 100-ounce sizes. We also sell those, and they also come in stacker rounds with incredibly high relief with the line. That is a huge seller, just kind of nonstop sales for us. And then, kind of beyond that, we mint for the Cayman Islands. There's a Marlin. I think that was runner-up for Coin of the Year 2 years ago for 2017, and that's going to continue on. That's been a very popular coin, one of the better-looking ones out there. If you haven't seen it, check that one out. Some other coins that I think the Gorilla series. We do a silverback gorilla with Congo, and I believe we started that that was 2015, and the 2019 should be soon releasing as well. That's been a really, really popular one. And the Ghana leopard, I'll throw that one out there as well. That one I think that was 2017, and the 2018 that sold out I think in 45 minutes.
Wow.
From when our email went out to our dealers worldwide. That allocation was completely soaked up in about 45 minutes. So I think the 2019 will be coming out a little sooner this year, and that one I think will be excited to hit the market. So I'd say that's kind of a large splattering of products. Another one that's been kind of neat that we started just last year was the terracotta soldiers, and that was with Fiji, and that was it's an antiqued 5-ounce. It's a big piece for those of you stackers of silver that are always looking for different pieces to fondle on your desk. This is one you definitely have to have. So those are some of the ones that I would say kind of allow you to sock some metal away and at the same time kind of enjoy your investment.
Fantastic. Question 3 is, I guess, kind of a macro question, Josh. We've started the year kind of up and then back down here in 2019, all kinds of interesting signals coming from the central banks around the world. And that's kind of what question 3 deals with. Which factors do you see driving gold and silver demand this year and next?
Well, as a disclaimer, I am not an economist, and I'm rarely right, and I kind of chuckle with that. But I have been in the metals for a long time, so I kind of look at asset flow. So right now, gold is an option as a currency, as a store of wealth for both central banks and investors worldwide. Clearly, some of the strength in gold recently has been driven by the fact that you've got Europe really struggling. The euro is not a sovereign country. It's a group, and it's clearly struggling with Brexit. They're having to slow down their economy. So a lot of capital is actually fleeing Europe, and it's going into a lot of it's going into the U.S. dollar, frankly, and that's probably why there's been a strength there. It's gone into the gold, and it's definitely gone into the U.S. equities. People are looking to where to park, where to park their money temporarily, and China's seeing some slowdown as well. They've got a dollar shortage, it seems like. I think I read recently 1.2 trillion in U.S. dollar-backed loans have to roll over this year. So there's that quantitative easing that was happening, quite a bit a number of years ago has slowed. Now the U.S. has inherit quite a bit of problems on its own plate. So I think right now it's which currency is going to fall the fastest, and assets kind of flow back and forth. So looking forward, I think we have another election coming up here. Believe it or not, it seems like it's always ongoing. Another election coming up, and I think at some point the stock market could continue to inflate and go higher and higher and higher. But we all know what goes up must come down. So I think those are some of the things that we're keeping an eye out for. And and just looking at where people may decide, you know what, my real estate's up a lot, my equities are up a lot. How about we lock some of that in, move a portion of those assets into physical metal? I think we've already seen that over the last 6 months on the higher end side of things. The bigger buyers are doing that. We're seeing some of the vaults where they may have been liquidating over the last couple of years some of the positions. We're starting to see some of that build back up again. So will that correlate to the retail level before long? Let's watch for an event.
Fair enough. Josh, turning back to Scottsdale specifically, obviously you guys process a lot of coins, blanks. You've got customers around the world, if you've mentioned. But that gold and silver's got to come through your doors to make that happen. From where does Scottsdale source its precious metal?
Yeah, so silver's heavy, so we don't like to fly it on planes. So most of the silver that we're processing is North American. So it could be primarily it's U.S., some Canada, some Mexico. So that product is typically it's North American based. Occasionally we find some European silver makes its way over here, but not as often. Gold, on the other hand, is probably for us as our some of our relationships lie in Switzerland. So a lot of those the refineries there are minting. Sorry, not minting, but refining the gold. So we don't do any refining. We just do the fabrication side. We just make it look really pretty and put a brand on it. So that's what we do on our end. So a lot of that comes through Switzerland. So we're importing quite a bit through that particular channel.
All right, let's just we'll move on to the next question. There's been some talk about mergers and acquisitions here in the mining industry. Some of the big players trying to get together. Do you think that's going to continue, and would that have any impact at all on Scottsdale?
Good question. I think these are more macro events. I actually worked in the mining sector. I did corporate risk management and worked with some of the biggest mining companies in copper, gold, and silver. And I think these kind of come in waves, and we've definitely seen there's been a shortage of capital in the mining, particularly on the exploration side. So the majors don't really kick rocks. They just want to buy. They want to buy the guys that are in development for a construction project. So I think there's been these cycles where the explorers, when they can raise the money, they're out there, they're kicking rocks, they're finding new properties to develop, and things are moving forward. Well, that was about 10 years ago, and I'd say right around the time of the financial crisis hit, they were having trouble raising money through, I call it Bay Street. That's the Wall Street of Toronto, where most of the mining capital comes through. When that market got hit, it was a lot harder for them to raise the capital to continue that exploration. So I think right now you're looking at a scene where a lot of these major producers are, these are finite resources. So they have 15, 20, 30-year life of mine, and unless they develop that particular property and find more ore on that property, they got to go buy somebody else to keep those assets going. So I think you're seeing some of that take place where they've during the lean times when prices are low, they do what's called high grading, and basically they're pulling out their richer material where they have better margins on. I think a lot of that's already happened through the years, and you got to go to tougher countries and tougher places that cost more. You got to do different higher risk profiles with various countries. So I think you could see some consolidation. I think it'd be healthy for the industry, not to all be swallowed up by just a couple groups. I think it's always good to have some competitive nature in the marketplace. But like I said, it starts earlier on. Maybe we'll see some capital coming back into what I would call the mid tiers, and see if some of those guys can grow as well.
All right. Just 2 questions to go, Josh. The next question has to deal with technology. It's always advancing, really on almost a day-by-day basis. We know how that impacts almost every industry. But specific to yours, how has automation and things like artificial intelligence played a role at Scottsdale and the mint industry in general? Yeah,
well, I would make a joke that AI, artificial intelligence, is huge in the minting process, but at this point, it just really isn't. I call it, it's this old school brick and mortar, melting, machining, fabrication. We have seen some. We're here in the United States, so as a lean manufacturer, that's really what you're looking for. So higher skilled employees utilizing some automation, but then you need engineers to run that automation. So there's definitely been a push for newer equipment in the industry. AI, I think there's we'll see how that kind of evolves longer term. I don't know. At the end of the day, someone's got to make it physically. Yeah. So maybe not so much on the minting side, but I could see maybe some of the guys on the retail side or distribution side of things where that maybe plays a bigger role. But I do think for us here in the United States, a healthy blend of modern, but also relying on good employees is a healthy mix.
Sure. And Josh, just one last question. You've done a great job with your company, and you're always looking over the horizon and trying to stay ahead of the curve. And I know one thing you're working on is, I guess technology related in a sense. Can you tell me a little bit more about your partnership with Monarch Blockchain, specifically that decentralized exchange and wallet that's backed by physical silver?
I've enjoyed studying Austrian economics for many years, and some of that has led me into this industry and why I work in precious metals. But I've always kept an eye on the crypto space, and I know some people love it, some people despise it. But the reality is that blockchain is here on our doorstep, and we've got a pretty special partnership with a company called Monarch Blockchain, and I think most people know it as Monarch Wallet. It's a phone app you can download on iPhone and Android. And what that is it's a fully decentralized wallet. So you don't own you own the keys. You own your crypto is in your possession versus on the balance sheets or the book of a centralized exchange. So all these hacks that you've heard have happened in a centralized exchange. So what Monarch is creating is not creating, but they have created is a decentralized wallet, and they are giving away that for free. So right now you can go and buy and sell both Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then I believe you can trade over 1,900 coins right now. And they're one of 3 companies in the United States with a broker-dealer license that can actually connect to a bank account. And where Scottsdale Mint gets involved here is their goal is to be a merchant processor. So right now, merchant processing for cryptos is difficult or somewhat expensive. And their solution, they've got a patent on reoccurring payments so that you can even convert from any crypto into U.S. dollars. So even if, let's say, you want to pay your Netflix bill, they don't accept crypto, you've got the ability to convert it instantly into U.S. dollars, and they'll pay Netflix for you on a reoccurring basis. Each time a merchant gets paid, they're going to put 10% of that fee into physical silver. That physical silver will be produced by Scottsdale Mint, and then we will be shipping it off to various vaults around the world. Their goal is to have this wonderful technology, but build a true hard asset behind it.
Wow.
And as they build that asset behind it, if something ever happened to the dev team, you've got this asset that could essentially run the company in perpetuity. So there's a true asset. The other interesting thing is we're not just buying a piece of a bar in the COMEX vault. We're actually going to be minting 100-ounce bars, retail ready. These bars could even be distributed or paid out in dividends to the security token holders. So this is a very intriguing, kind of like I call it this is perhaps the future for the common man to trade, to buy and sell, but also there's a pretty good asset behind it. So this differs a little bit than there's some other great solutions out there that our industry has done where you can buy basically digital gold or digital silver. What's interesting about the Monarch wallet, the Monarch token program here, it has nothing to do with silver why people would use it initially. But if this gets adopted, this could move a significant amount of silver into what I would call deep storage. So that would be exciting for us to see. You know, we'll see if it gets adopted. But I can tell you, I'm also on the board. Eric Lee is on the board as well. He's the co-founder of LinkedIn. And I believe just about a week ago, Roger Ver joined as well on the board, and he's one of the top 10 Bitcoin holders in the world. So it's got, you know, I'm the small guy on the team here, but I think if this, like I said, if this gets adopted and people really start to use this program, this could be impactful for the silver industry. So I see this as a net win for everyone.
Yeah, sounds like it. That would definitely be something to pull for. Any silver that we can get away from the banks and into private hands and in deep storage, as you said, helps us all out. No question about that. Josh, this has just been fantastic. Very informative, very helpful, and I'm sure everybody has enjoyed listening. I want to thank you on behalf of Sprott Money for spending some time with us.
Hey, thank you. Definitely appreciate it.
And from all of us here at Sprott Money News and SprottMoney.com, thank you for listening, and we'll visit with you again soon.